Travis Wayne Goodsell. Yesterday, I revealed the House of Israel festival for you in the context of the sign of the coming of the Christ as understood by the ancients. And so I put the Cairo of Roman Emperor Constantine and Pope Leo didn't even acknowledge it this year. It came, it went, and he was silent on it. It's the founding of Christianity. The first creed of Christianity is the founding of Christianity. Christianity did not exist before. There were no Christians before. It was created with that first creed. And for Christians to be ignorant of this is about the same ridiculousness as Mormons who ignore their church history. The Chi is the cross, an X. It's for the cross of Jesus, as recorded in the Gospels that were approved of because of the first creed of Christianity. All of the other scriptures of the Jews, the Romans, the Greeks, the Persians, Babylonians, Syrians, Sumerians, Hittites, Philistines, Canaanites, Egyptians, etc., being all turned literal histories by the first creed of Christianity, were rejected because they chose the character name Jesus for their Christ. And I'm surprised that they'd even accept Matthew, which exposes Jesus as the wrong name. Everybody is illiterate when reading that one, apparently. But it's also important to understand that the Romans didn't use X's to crucify people. And I can only find the one person online who did an actual X for the crucifixion of Jesus correctly. All of the T crosses are not even correct, as so was the X. They used a pole, just a single pole. That's it, that's all. Science has found only poles, not T's, not X's. So for the Jewish authors to put in the X and Constantine to confirm that with the symbol of Christianity that the Pope does, or however it's given, is their treatment of you as stupid. Christians, they treat you as stupid because you still go with a T. And now I know there's some who may do a poll. I don't know who. It dominates with the T. No, it's on its side. And so I've been telling you the whole time, having deciphered Paleo-Hebrew, that the first and last letters of the Paleo-Hebrew alphabet have the X for the Chi of the crucifixion symbolism for the calendar date and clock time of the coming of the Jewish Christ. And that's the 21st of April, 2017 to April, or 21st of August, 2017 to the 8 April, 2024, forming the cross over America. Other people caught that. But they didn't put it into the context of Jews. They allowed their Christian bias to be imposed upon it. And because of that Christian bias, the Jews ignore it. They paid attention to the blood moon tetrad on Jewish holidays back in 2014, 2015, but that's as far as they go, because they don't accept the Christianized Jewish works of Matthew. For Matthew chapter 25, about the parable of the 10 virgins. Christianity did damage. And even William Foxwell Albright, who botched Paleo-Hebrew decipherment, one of the errors he made was taking the Babylonian word resh, when they conquered Judah and took them hostage to Ur of Babylon, and then assimilated them into all things Mesopotamian, was to alter the language to the Mesopotamian alphabet that they created afterward, after the Phoenicians invented the alphabet. And so what William Foxwell Albright did was take the Mesopotamian resh and use the first letter, the R, which is a P shape, without the little line at the bottom. And you see this in Greek, because it's from the same origin, Phoenician, to be the head, a human head. And he's wrong on multiple counts. It refers to head as in leadership, rather than head as in a human head. And so when you get to the Proto-Sinaitic cave of Hathor, he makes assumptions, and because of his acronym theory, fraud, he then has to date it earlier than it is allowed. The cave and the drawings are Mesopotamian. They are not Phoenician. Therefore, they are to be dated earlier to our time period than is claimed. Phoenician is the original alphabet, not Proto-Sinaitic. And these are the things I catch because I deciphered Paleo-Hebrew. I make all of these connections. And so the three lines of the solar eclipses over the United States of America are for the first letter of the Paleo-Hebrew alphabet that contains two X's with the lower line that goes through it. And in Paleo-Hebrew, the A of Greek for alpha gets turned on its side and is the exact same design of the three solar eclipses over the United States of America. So when Isaiah chapter 7 verse 14 left out of Matthew says a sign I give unto you. And then gives you Virgo, giving birth to Jupiter. Christians turn that literal history. When the Jews gave you the calendar date and clock time for when their Jewish Christ is coming. And so yes, they knew it was in America. That's why, by tradition, there were many Jews who came to America, seeing America as the opportunity and the location to build the New Jerusalem. And then the Illuminati came to America, infiltrated the Scottish Rites Freemasonry, and put Salem along the line, and Nineveh along that line. They did it on purpose, because they knew. They knew. And they plotted to overthrow the government, because it's the Illuminati, it's what they do. And so Isaiah, by giving you sign, gives you the 3 solar eclipses over America. And in so doing, he defines Emmanuel, that the Christian who wrote in God with us purposely covered up and hid not just biblical Hebrew Jews who turned the Paleo-Hebrew script into Aramaic script. And that's a completely different language that they didn't know anymore. It was 800 to 1000 CE when they created their biblical Hebrew text. And so they were biased by conforming their translation to the Septuagint and Latin Vulgate, and mixing in other languages that had been around on Earth during that time when they did it. And then there was the 2 groups who had their differences for grammatical termination and the vowel usage of the letters as well as the dots and the lines. And so the Jews, as well-intentioned as they thought they were, made things worse, covered up and hid the meaning of the original documents of the original Jewish authors. And it even gives you the full 3 names of Emmanuel, which is the surname. Just remarkable how far greater of an intelligence the Jews were until Constantine came and created the Dark Ages with the creation of Christianity. And Christians just want to deny that Christianity causes stupidity. By turning things into literal history that were not literal history, they now have to deny science, deny history, deny logic. And this is why the book of Revelation almost didn't make it in, is because of the flying white horse from outer space, not to mention the dragons and frogs coming out of men's mouths. It was too fantastic. They rejected Perseus and Hercule and Hercules because of their flying white horse, not just because it's the wrong name. It's supposed to be Jesus. And yet, that's where the Jewish author got Revelation 19 from. Was from the flying white horse of Perseus and Hercules, Pegasus, because it's the sign in the heavens, giving you the calendar date and clock time for that third day of darkness. And so the actual sign of Virgo and Jupiter comes the month after the first one, 23rd September 2017, from Revelation chapter 12. All the Jews knew it. But to find it in the Book of Mormon, and I probably should have put in the Book of Mormon here, Lehi, his second vision. That's the coming of the Christ, the coming of the Jewish Christ. And as I've been going over with you, it's an exact same pattern match for Joseph Smith's second vision, not literal history either. Mormons don't get this. By Brigham Young turning the Book of Mormon into literal history, exactly as Constantine did, it screws everything up. This is why Mormons leave, is because science says it's impossible. Even though it's more realistic. There are no flying horses, for example, from outer space. Jesus doesn't need it. It still has other things that are not true in the archaeological record, wherever you think the geography took place. And that's why Christians will use science only to trash the Book of Mormon. They will not use it on the Bible. And instead, they act like a kook, claiming that the Bible is confirmed by science. No, it's not. Christians lie and deny as Mormons lie and deny. And so Joseph Smith knew the date by 1838, because there's one passage before he gets to the book of Revelation in the Doctrine and Covenants where he quotes, "No man knows the day or the hour." We do, they did, the authors knew. It was obvious they knew. And so Joseph had yet to be educated by his father to know the dates. His father being a Yorkite Freemason, a Master Mason of the Canandaigua Lodge, Ontario County, number 23. Canandaigua, New York, where William Morgan was working on the book. And it's sad that Mormons are so evil that learning from my videos of what happened in real church history, that they would go in and destroy the Wikipedia pages on this to distance the Book of Mormon from its truth, to try to preserve the lie that obviously is not true for anybody literate. But 1700 years later, there are 4 billion people on the earth who are illiterate. And so that's why Brigham Young did what he did, because it worked so well for Constantine. The Yorkites of Joseph Smith Sr., their slogan, "In hoc signo vinces." I don't know how well my Latin is after all these decades. Probably botched it. Teacher was a stickler to pronounce it correctly. It's amazing I still pulled off an A. Nonetheless, in this sign, you will win. What's the sign? The X. Has the X crucifixion cross with the crown of the king. And it's missing a head. It's missing a body. It's missing a person. But that's when they're telling you is the date of the latter days that everybody else knew. They knew too. So Joseph Smith, Egyptian gold plates buried in America? Yeah, the Yorkites came to America. The Vikings brought them over. The Mandan Indian tribe of the Dakotas. The Kensington Stone of 1363. And then the Sun people of the Sun God, of the Sun City, of the Sun King, of the Sun, making human sacrifices at X marks the spot. And then they disappear after 1363. They're just gone. But archaeologists don't connect the Yorkites with the Knights Templar in America at the time of the Indian tribe that disappeared. And so you got Little Egypt that's there to the east, where they claim that there's Egyptian stuff buried in the caves. And it's considered a tradition, but nonetheless. Egyptian gold treasure plates of the Yorkites. So Daddy, being a Yorkite master mason, Joseph Smith, uses that in 1838 in his second vision to tell you the date. And he doesn't do it like Lehi did. He just says he also has the sword of Laban with the Urim and Thummim, Seerstones, interpreters. That is your indicator that he's giving you the calendar date and clock time. Because Joseph Smith, as the head of the church, just like the Ro, or the Resh, the Babylonian, is the flag symbol, not the head of a human, for God, deity. And so who appears to Joseph Smith? The sun god at noonday, Emmanuel. Verse 40, he tells you, Emmanuel is our Christ, the Jewish Christ, the man like Moses, the man, not space alien. The first and second visions are not real. Anybody intelligent knows this. And yet, because of Constantine, Mormons originally were converted from Christianity and carried their Christianity into the Book of Mormon. That's how the Danites were able to deceive them when they converted them to the wrong religion, the wrong name of the church. And thus the wrong translation, interpretation, and definition of words in the Book of Mormon. Joseph Smith is revealing the truth for you. And that's why Brigham Young wanted nothing to do with it. He had others who forged documents to destroy it further, but he never published them This was just during Joseph's lifetime that he secretly had these done. And therefore, it may have been after Joseph died when there was that attempt to try to lure Mormons to side with Brigham Young rather than Sidney Rigdon or James Strang or others that would emerge. And so, yeah, the whole concept of rocks in a hat. How did Joseph Smith obtain the Book of Mormon? A rock in the hill that had an opening inside of the plates. Gold plates, Egyptian gold plates. It was all symbolically given to you guys. And I missed it, thinking it was literal history. And so, yes, the people who went and dug up the mountain couldn't find the plates. Oh no, magic. They're slippery, just like the demons during Joseph Smith's time. As he told the one guy who said Joseph told him. You never paid attention to who the author was, because it's called hearsay. If it's not the words of Joseph directly, it's hearsay. Ex-faux-nevermos have based their opinion on Joseph Smith by hearsay. That is not logically sound. And that Brigham Young and his Danites gotcha to divert you away from their evil and what they altered of Joseph Smith. They gotcha. That was the trap of Brigham Young. Just as Constantine did the trap of the Jews. To take people away from the original Jewish meaning. And so, the House of Israel, which Mormons are the House of Israel. Joseph Smith is telling Mormons they are the fulfillment of all Jewish prophecy. In the House of Israel Festival of Tents, is where the exclusive wording of stand before the bar of God to be judged comes from. Because the sun is in Libra during this time. Wherefore the other one, whereas the other one is in Virgo, just as it is with Passover and Purim for the 10 virgins. And so I've shown you daily, repeatedly, day 1, day 2 to day 7. Day 7, 2025, the sun is at the bar of judgment. The sun, Emmanuel. And so I pointed out to you the transfer of authority from the death of Nelson to when Oakes waited 17 days to become the president of the church. When Mars, which had been Nelson this whole time when Monson died, was now at the top of the scales of judgment. Nelson now transferred everything to Oakes. When Oaks was Mars now at the top of the scales of judgment. He was no longer Venus. You have to follow these. Joseph Smith tells you in the Joseph Smith translation of Revelation chapter 12 that there's a similitude of the signs in the heavens with the likenesses on earth. The scripture stories, when they talk about the house of Israel, they're talking about Mormons. The true Christ, the true prophet, the true head of the church is Emmanuel. The false Christ, the false prophet, who is the great and abominable head of the church, is Mars. Virgo is the church. Jupiter is the Christ. So when Joseph Smith says the Emmanuel is our Christ, that's what he means. It's not Jesus. You did not understand Matthew correctly. You imposed the first creed of Christianity onto it, and thus caused what's called an anachronism. You can't do that. So Mars, now during the House of Israel tense, has fallen. He failed his judgment. I've been going over with you this the whole time. Oaks is neglecting Mormons and came out and said, Jesus hasn't revealed how to solve the world's problems. Really? You've never read his words in the scriptures? Don't give me that, you dumbass. You know exactly what you need to do, and you won't do it because you've got ulterior motives. He's part of the Danites of Brigham Young. That's why. So, all of this we're given in scriptures to tell you the dates and the events on earth. And they've all happened, in case you hadn't caught on yet. Both the enemy and the good guy. Who's all by himself. Doesn't want to be all by himself. Can't remember the rest of the lyrics in this tone. All by myself, don't wanna be all by myself anymore. When I was young, I never needed anyone, and making love was just for fun. Those days are gone. I never got to do that. Church said no. I was shy. So these Danites, I'd already done the church history research for you. Made all the connections. Pissed off the church. They wanted me dead. I'm now here. They don't like the truth. Causes apostasy. No duh. And so I started writing a list for the book buried in the boxes for YouTube video referencing. The Danites were terrorists, insurrectionists, murderers, rapists, destroyers, thieves. They worship Lucifer. They forge documents. They frame and blame. Not just Jesus. They're sexual deviants above and beyond rape. The Nicolaitan band, or Nicolaitan band, however it's pronounced, from Revelation 2, that is told by them in their forged document of Section 117, infamy. They threaten people to obey them. They're bullies. They're racist, sexist, bigots, white supremacists, Christian nationalists. They lie, and they are a secret combination. And that's only what I have so far. I'm sure I'll add more over time if I were to spend more time on this and not stick it in the new filing system for YouTube referencing. But their actual document found the other week in the Joseph Smith papers, confessing and exposing themselves. This was a bombshell that shook the church's foundations. Shake your foundations, whoa, whoa, whoa. Because they say they are the order of the Danites. They are not of the order of Emmanuel. They are a alternative religion as a secret combination in Joseph Smith's church by calling themselves the Order of the Danites. They cooed Joseph Smith in 1838. And they wrote about it later to confess. We have a company of Danites in these times to put to rights physically. So priestcraft was involved with their bishop storehouse, which is where we get Section 119's forgery from, which they put in order here, with physical violence, the Order of Nehor. And we are warned in the Book of Mormon not to allow this to exist. This is why Thomas B. Marsh's affidavit was responded by the governor of Missouri with an extermination order. These guys are evil. And Mormons today say, "Leave us alone, religious freedom." You got to obey the laws of the land to get religious freedom. You got to obey the laws to get freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom to peaceably assemble. You can't be forming a coup. Joseph Smith makes this very clear in the Doctrine and Covenants on government. Government's got to give religious freedom, and religions got to obey the law. You can't be insurrecting the government. For Joseph Smith to put that in there is impressive. It's almost as if he knew from William Morgan and the incident on 9/11/1826 that resulted in the Book of Mormon. That which is not right, and to cleanse the church, an ulterior religion designed to destroy Joseph Smith's religion, Jewish, and turn it Christian. Very great evils. Christians believe Jews are of the devil. During that Black Plague caused by the Jews because they bathed. And their script in Paleo-Hebrew is witchcraft. Abracadabra. Holiness to the Lord parchment. Evil. Witchcraft. Glass looker. This is exactly what they're condemning. And they say that literate people cannot be put right by teachings and persuasions, like a Christian or a Danite missionary, because they're smart, they're an intelligence. They go, no, it says Jews. It says Jews. No, Jesus! Jesus! It's all about Jesus! Die! So yeah, the church has reworded the spelling of Adam-on-Diamond. Nonetheless, the whole Latter-day plot was exposed by these Danites, as the whole name of the church is exposed. As we now know that Brigham Young established the name of the church, of his church, having conquered Joseph Smith, February 6th, 1851, for the state of Deseret, when he was governor of the territory of Utah, still forming a coup against the United States of America. So in the context, knowing of the Latter-day plot, you now see what he was doing, that he fled the eastern half of the United States to go and settle his kingdom for the western half, which was intended to build up Mormons to be the nation of the western United States, so that in the latter days it would be easier to attack the eastern United States with the Mormons coming in during the time period. That plan obviously failed, as Mexico seceded the territory. But their ultimate plan of destroying America was still in place. It just took a different form. Much like Oaks running a test run in 2020 and 2021 instead. God. And so, yes, all of the forged documents that I did the research on to confirm that they were forged documents of the Danites were indeed the same that was part of Thomas B. Marsh's affidavit and in the documents of the Joseph Smith by the Danites. Section 115, wrong name. Section 116, Adam-on-Diamond is their coup plot. That's why both Heber C. Kimball and John Taylor's prophecies of the future have Adam-on-Diamond as the millennial kingdom. It's the coup code. Section 117, also a forged document. Okay, Whitney was not the bishop in Adam-on-Diamond. He defected to the Danites. And so Thomas B. Marsh exposes that, not knowing that there was a church in Adam-on-Diamond, not knowing that there was therefore a storehouse for the church in every single ward, which was called a branch back then. And they still are, to this day, are clueless. Just like with the Great Depression, The church didn't have storehouses, didn't have Bishop Storehouse, no welfare square, until after it. Mormons were still suffering. And then, we got revelation. Jesus told us we're going to use a bishop's storehouse for the other storehouse of the Lord's money. This is for food. Yep, section 119. Tithing, the criminal operation of this great and abominable church. They got them shut down with the Edmunds-Tucker Act. Tithing, not polygamy, which Grover Cleveland only pardoned them for. Not tithing, not the perpetual slave trafficking and sex trafficking trade. All of this is getting exposed by Thomas B. Marsh. And then they went and had the audacity to put it in the Joseph Smith papers. So yeah, section 132 for their sexual deviance. And Brigham Young changed it to just polygamy. The other sexual deviance, they stopped. Because Brigham Young needed to keep his people sexually controlled. And that's why they had brothels back in those days, rather than wife swapping that they did under Joseph Smith. And then to hear what Mormons are doing now is beyond wife swapping with the swingers on the hills of Draper, which I understand have spread throughout the valley. Going all the way up and going all the way down Utah and into other states. Mormons have gotten worse since their ancestors, worshiping Lucifer of the Illuminati that they originate from. Just terrifying, the level of evil of Mormons. That's why I do my videos, hoping that there are still innocent Mormons out there who are not involved in this yet. If the church wins and gets their kingdom back, you will be forced to be a part of it. Specifically women. Men, yeah, you're slaves. No wives for you. Even though Oaks had you believe that they were just going to take away technology from you. But you get to have a family. To have your children in labor camps. Child slave labor. God, nobody catches this. That's the whole thing. The church has normalized criminal behavior. The church is crime. It's infested to the core as criminal. And Mormons grow up in the church as that's normal behavior. So they grow up and commit the crimes. And as long as they stay in Utah, they're somewhat protected. Unless they get exposed and caught, then the church hangs you out to dry. And you don't get it from church history. Joseph Smith excommunicated anybody who got caught. And they didn't understand. Why are you doing this to me? You're the one in charge of all this. No, I'm not. Who told you I'm in charge of this? Well, I just assumed. Who else is involved? Never mind. I'm mad at you. You raped little girls. What? Bleep you. John C. Bennett formed his own Illuminati. So, yeah, I've exposed this church, and still, because of the abuses of this church, covering it up and hiding, and destroying my life, they've been able to get away with it. So the whole Adam-on-Diamond plot was exposed. That ended me here. The Way to Perfection, Joseph Fielding Smith Sr., under Gathering at Adam-on-Diamond, by Voice of the Priesthood, page 291. The council in the Valley of Adam-on-Diamond is to be of the greatest importance to this world. At that time, there will be a transfer of government authority from the usurper and impostor Donald John Trump to the rightful king Dallas Harris Oaks, new name. Oh, Anderson, I'm surprised you didn't have to keep your Temple Covenant paths for that mistake. As you then went on to do that little devotional of yours. You can see the face of Jesus as he sees yours. It's spiritual. It's an idol statue god. Unbelievable. I always wondered how they were going to pull that off. How are they going to pull off that Jesus came and burned everybody if there are still people alive? Well, it was Jesus who did it. It was Jesus. Not us paying the Judas price. No. This is judgment, or this is the crucifixion day, by the way, the trial and the Jewish author, not the Christian interpretation. Day 6. So thus, why I'm doing the topic that I am for you today. Nobody is supposed to know about it because it's a secret combination. Insurrection coup of America by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, exposed by Joseph Fielding Smith Sr. because he was indoctrinated into the lies that it's framing and blaming Jesus. As he did not read that they confessed to Thomas B. Marsh that it's them. And Joseph Smith had already told us in 1838's history. They that come shall burn you, not Jesus. Hello, Bueller. So, Fox 13 pisses me off. They're saying AI is improving weather forecasting. Oh my God, no. It made it worse. Google weather is what I use every day at around 2 p.m. doing my daily checks. And previously, it was somewhat accurate for the week. And then they switched earlier this year. A new program, as they made it very clear they put in a new program because they put in new pretty pictures for the icons. And it has been worse. I can't even trust right now to be accurate. AI is not an intelligence. We really do need to stop calling it AI. It is a human program. And the humans are stupid. Because they put in falsehoods into the programming. They lie. They've got revisionist history. They're anti-science. They're pro-Christian. And it's screwing up the program because it's not true. And nobody gets it. We have witnessed how horrifying this program is. That it's a malware virus. That it's performing fire sales. It is stealing data. It is stealing sensitive information and passwords. And yet, nope, we're keeping it. It's the new normal. And Fox 13 has the audacity to claim it's better weather forecasting? Dear God, put back the weather girls. Put back the original program. Get rid of AI. And they won't do it. Just as Trump used his magic Sharpie to change the trajectory of a hurricane, AI is doing to everything. And nobody sees that. I'm horrified. So, yeah, the whole snap thing is a chaos. I have not heard yet as to whether or not they have resumed. Don't dare get into Microsoft and get the camera frozen because it's in the background. So until it pops up on the screen, hopefully I'm not frozen. SCOTUS has allowed the blacklist of LGBTQ for marriages to remain. It's a blacklist, guys. It is not your rights. Again, you got conned by psychologists from Nazi Germany that did the majority of their human experimentations right here in Utah. Dear God, I've got the black screen of death. I'm still recording? Yeah. The BBC, they got shooken by Trump. They did not give the full unedited interview. How dare they cut it for time? And so as Brits, they fell on their sword and died when Trump threatened to sue for $1 billion. And yet, yesterday I saw that Trump shutdown has ended. They voted for it, but the House still has to sign it. What the hell are you talking about? Seen as the Grand Slam champion. I'm so out of touch with the WWE now. Shutdown fight gets bigger for one. Okay, so it's still not decided, but did the Senate pass it on to the House now? Yeah. Donald is gonna send in the troops to Chicago. I told you from the beginning, you don't want to mess with Chicago. They will put up a fight, and here they are. They're fighting for their freedom. Okay, so CNN is reporting a shutdown win for Trump and the Republicans, but it has a huge headache. Okay, Monday. We're going to shut down health insurance. What about the vote? Healthcare. So they have no interest in providing an alternative healthcare. They want it privatized. That's their healthcare plan. to shut down the federal government and have healthcare privatized based on the states. They're not, oh my God. All I want is the simple answer, and nobody has it for me. The Washington Post says shutdown is ended. Well, that means the House voted for it and Trump signed it into law. That's a little quick. So I'm not really believing this. Sunday and Monday. The reaction to the two votes. House minority. 8 Democrats extended it, but what about the vote? Why do news not get to the news? It's like you're trying to give a narrative. Don't do that. Report the news. Give me the facts. I will determine how I'm going to feel about it. Oh my God. Shifting course on Monday. I don't care about Newsom. I want the vote. How is it so complicated to skip talking about the vote? Oh my God. All of this reaction, feelings, response. I just want to know what the vote was. Is it gone to the House? They are telling me. Bastards. I just want to know of the vote. And I gotta go running, so I'm gonna be late. And so, yeah, the Fox News interview of Trump was edited as usual. Unbelievable. He complains about other people not giving his full interview when Fox News never does the full interview. Did the Senate pass the bill in yesterday's vote? Senate passes bill to end the shutdown. Yeah. Finally. Dear God. Top stories. But it's still shut down. The government's still not functioning yet, even though Trump threatened Air Force or the TSA operatives to get back to work. Government's not opened yet. They ain't got an incentive to come back to work if they're not going to get paid. Because that's what Trump does. They come back to work, yay, the government's going to open, yay, and then, oh no, it got shot down in flames in the house. We're still closed, and I'm not getting paid. I'm sick again. And so, yeah, Trump is still, regardless of the opening, demanding that nobody get money for food still. Because this is his whole plan. He wants both healthcare shut down and SNAP shut down. Here, he was using the intermedium to use the two to let Democrats decide, which do you want, SNAP or healthcare? And then he takes them both away. It's what he does. They know this. But still, I mean, the church is silent on all this. They are not giving a single penny to anybody. They have made this very clear. The storehouses are for little grandmas. And that's it. They don't want it. They don't. I mean, 141? Seriously? When you're supposed to have one for every ward. And then you claim you don't know what to do? We're not a humanitarian organization. We're not a corporation. We're not an educational place. Just how dumb do they think you are? Apparently. Very. And so yes, you'll see the two pictures that I made up yesterday. Psychologists, they never tell you the truth. Everything they say is a lie. And so thus the memes are specifically made for the news coverage of KSL, who keeps pushing psychology on you from Nazi Germany. The Nazis are not good people. They lie, just like the Danites. Oh, the swastika was inverted by Hitler? From the original Hindu? Interesting. The Illuminati inverted the pentagram, just as Brigham Young did. And the Confederates. And the KKK. And. God. They play everybody for dumb. Psychologists, in telling you lies, are telling you how to live, how to think, how to feel, how to believe, and how to act. That's what KSL is setting you up for if you watch KSL regularly and you take notes. Ooh, the 3 things on how to change your husband? The 5 ways to have a happy home? 10 signals that your husband is cheating on you. That's psychology. Stop it. Don't listen to them. They're telling you how to be. And so yes, it was hilarious when I found out the birthday of Sarah Murphy, which corresponded with her attitude. That's only because Sarah chose that attitude, as she likely would have learned about being an Aries, just as the grade school teacher with the color test to find out who the troublemakers were, and put them next to me in the back of the classroom. God. So, there you have it. Unbelievable. Okay, another day, another wasted video that YouTube will suppress. I haven't heard back from you, Jennifer. You still watching, or did you bail on me? Most people bail. They find a video that is, oh no, Jesus isn't real? Oh crap, this is too extremist for me. Jesus is extremist. Quit beaming moting for the church. They got you. And the other one, what was the other one? I did want to see the church's true woman's dress. I wish they'd have them stand up and model for us before sitting down and giving us their falsehoods. How our lives suck and we need to conform and comply. Because the other one, yeah, punish your kids with a landline. This is hilarious. Yes, your kid won't get picked on now. They won't be ostracized by their peers. Plus, with a landline, you can hear what they're saying. The old technologies. And I noticed the picture shows that it's not the extension cord for the landline. So it has to stay on the table. This person has to talk right there. And either stand up or have a chair right next to it. So that everybody can hear you. Just leave your kids alone. Come on, guys. Leave your kids alone. Alrighty.